Hey, Justin Chamness, realestatewholesalerclub.com. It's been a while since I said that, huh? I've been sending everybody to shutupmoney.com. Same thing. But I used to say, hey, this is Justin Chamness, realestatewholesalerclub.com, where we're all about helping you get to that first or maybe that next deal. We call it the shut up money because it's when you can tell your doubters, your haters, all those people that have been naysaying you this whole time, you can tell them, hey, shut up. This works. All right. Hey, welcome. It's another session of the Midnight Mentor. And I'm going to play a game tonight. I'm going to play Dangerous Golf. It's going to be fun. I'm also going to take some questions, some answers. Going to talk to some folks, I think. I think it's going to work out that way. But I do have a free cheat sheet for you. It's scrolling atop the cross of the top. I always do that. It's scrolling across the top of the screen right there. www.shutupmoney.com/closing questions. That's right. All right. So, yeah. Definitely going to play a game. Dangerous Golf. I don't know if you can see that or not. Dangerous Golf. Yeah, this is where you get to play golf inside. Indoors. That's right. Indoors. And the more stuff you break, the better off you did. That's right. The higher the score. Sometimes it's all about what you tore up, I guess. That's right. We're going to play a game, but right here at the top of the screen, scrolling across the top, shutupmoney.com/closing questions. Guys and gals, this is the 19 questions that I use, that you hear me use, okay, on the live calling seller leads, on the role play sessions. These are the questions. These are my favorite power questions, everybody. Okay, so right there at that website, that's where you get the power questions. Okay, this is like what you've heard me refer to in the role plays and stuff when I'm talking to the homeowner. Okay, and I'll say things like, Mr. Homeowner, I can tell that selling your home to the right person is important to you. Why does it mean so much? Why do you feel that way? Why is this topic so important to you? I'd like to put all the things. This is one of my favorites lately. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Homeowner, I would like to put all the things that are important to you in my offer today. What things about the property or yourself or your situation should I understand? What things do I need to understand so that I can include them in my offer today? Wow, I love that. See, those are powerful questions. And I think, what this has been really helpful for me in is especially when I kind of like just now, like forget what I'm talking about, Does anybody know what I'm talking about? When you forget what you're talking about and then you end up kind of like you get that dead space, that dead air in the conversation on the phone with a homeowner. Does anybody know what I mean? That dead air. That dead air can be the death of the conversation, man. It really can. You're losing trustworthiness. You're probably losing likability. You're definitely opening the door for questions, stalls, objections, stuff like that. So you totally want to keep it kind of going. Keep it kind of going. And sometimes you just need a question. So, take this cheat sheet, print it out. If you got a printer, hopefully you got a printer. I know nowadays, nobody wants to print the internet. I get that, but sometimes it's nice to have a hard copy. Put a hard copy of this up there on your, on your wall or by your phone or whatever where you work. And when you run out of things to, you're like, what? I don't know what to say next. Okay. Almost always, guys and gals, almost always I can pick up one of these questions, one of the 19 questions here, and I can get right into the heart of the situation. Mr. Homeowner, have you had a bad experience with something like this before? Like, I don't know what to say. The guy's going crazy on me. He's telling me about all this stuff that happened. It's bad. He's kind of got a bad vibe going. Okay, well, Mr. Homeowner, have you had a bad experience with this before, what I'm talking about? Okay. All right. If we went ahead with this, what would be the worst thing that could happen? Okay. These are important questions that I need to be reminded of sometimes. Like, they kind of bail me out of a lull. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see folks watching. Hey, it's good. I don't know who you are. It just shows me Facebook user. I think you have to give it permission or something like that to know who you are. I don't know why I'm transparent tonight. It must be the color of shirt that I'm wearing. But welcome, okay? I think it is because it's kind of greenish. And I must have that green screen thing set up like that. So and you can adjust the transparency, and I think I have it all out of whack probably. But anyway, it's good to see folks watching. Thanks for putting some stuff in the comments. If you guys want to put things in the comments, feel free to put some things in the comments. I would love to see that happen. All right. I want to go ahead and jump into a round of this golf. All right. So let's try this and see what happens right now. I don't know if you guys have ever played golf like this before, but this is pretty cool. It's indoor golf. It's like you bust up a lot of stuff inside. Okay, so hey, don't forget, go to this shutupmoney.com/closing questions. Okay, and get the cheat sheet. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. I'm going to do one that I've done before just because I know it's pretty cool. And you guys will get a kick out of this. If you've not seen this before, this is a cool game. I think I got this from the PlayStation Store for I think it was, well, actually I think I get it for free because of my subscription. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all, but I pay a certain, I think it's $15 a month or something like that, and I can play a lot of games. I think I bought this one though, but I think I spent less than 10 or $15 for this one, but I think it's also available on the subscription, so you don't really have to. But you see, I'm in a beautiful dining room here. The candles are all lit, the bottles of wine, all the dishes and everything's all set out. It looks like some kind of ancient mansion, this is a pretty house deal right here. This is definitely this would make a good lease option. They could move right in fact, it's already furnished and everything. So the idea is the more stuff you break, the better, I think. And then you do have to get the ball in the hole eventually. There was a hole if you didn't see it. So let me see here. I'm going to take aim, and I'm just going to, boom. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens here. All right, I qualified. I broke enough stuff. I qualified for what's called a smash breaker. Now I'm just trying to break things. But I definitely am not doing very good at that. It looks like I ended up outside. It's going to run out of steam here in a minute, and then I'm going to have to put it in the hole here. Okay. All right, let's see. You see the flag right there in the middle? And then see, it says 13 foot to flag. But see, guys, this here is, I've made a lot of money already. Look, I've made $94,730 in less than 3 minutes of time. Okay, if you want to know how to do this, okay, if you want to know how to make $94,730 in less than 5 minutes without talking to anyone. All right, I just blew up a bunch of stuff. It let me blow it up. Now I'm up to 128,890. If you want to take your profits from 94 to 128,000 large, all you got to do is go to shutupmoney.com. Okay, and you know we'll teach you. Okay, so I've got to figure out how to get it in the hole. There it is. Boom. I just shot it through all that stuff I'd broken, all the debris. All right, check it out. I mean, kind of a fun game. I don't know. You guys probably don't care much about games, but it's fun on a late Saturday night. Look at the kind of money I just made. I mean, sometimes it's about tearing it up. You got to tear it up, right? And in this game in particular, that's what it's all about. And so I like it because it's pretty different. It's lighthearted. You can totally, like, let me see here. I got folks popping in here in the Zoom room. Let's do that. That sounds cool. Hey, I don't know if you got your camera on there, but let's see here if I can get the Zoom room to pop up here. Okay, you guys see me, but we don't see Karen. We could hear Karen if Karen was talking. We could see Karen if Karen was seeable. but it's up to you. I get it. It's late at night. We're just hanging out, having fun. Hey, welcome to the Midnight Mentor show. We don't really, we don't really have a pattern for this show. We just kind of go with the flow, and it's awesome that you and Vic have some questions and stuff lined up tonight. I'm pretty stoked about that. Karen, can you share screens?
No, we're not doing that after 9 p.m. local time, Justin.
Okay. No, I didn't. No, I mean, no, I get where I get what you're saying. Okay. No, I was wondering can you share screens and show the question on the screen?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. That we
Do you
can
guys
do.
want to just jump right into that? You want to jump right into some questions?
Yeah. Give me 1 second to pull up the pictures actually,
Yeah,
or
cool.
the questions we got.
Cool, no problem. It's good to see Mr. Thinker out there. Hey, and anybody and everybody that's watching, I know we have a few people out there that are watching. They probably got the notification, and they were like, "Hey, I want to see what Justin's doing." Thank you for watching tonight. A couple people on Facebook, a couple people on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of this. We're trying to bring some new stuff to you. Okay, like the I Call Your Seller leads. The Midnight Mint, that's on Thursdays, by the way. It was a good one this last week. We connected with a lot of people. Like a high percentage of the people that I called, the leads that people brought, a high percentage of them were actually, like connected with, like they answered the phone. So, we got a question here. All right, you ready for this? You want to read it?
Yeah, sure.
That's awesome. Woo, I like that. That's cool. Thank you.
So the first question we got is the EMD question, part 1. On a creative finance deal with liens and back taxes, how long is a buyer given to put up EMD from the time the contract is signed by both sellers and the buyer? And then it has a part 2 to the same question. If buyers have not put up EMD after 60 days on the contract, what would be the next step? Closing date on contract is in 2 days. No updates if closing will happen or not. Oh, that's nerve-wracking.
Okay, I think I got it. Um, what he's asking is on a creative finance deal that he has a buyer lined up for. It sounds like
Mm-hmm.
um, that buyer had agreed in the contract to put earnest money down, which we're all as wholesalers familiar with earnest money. Now the contract has been signed now for 60 days. The buyer still has not put in any earnest money. And this guy is wanting to know, hey, how long does that guy have to put in earnest money? Okay. That's what it sounds like to me. Is that what it sounds
Yeah.
like? Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good question. And most agreements will say earnest money due. Okay. When it says earnest money in the contract, usually it'll say the amount, like let's say $500, for example, and it'll say due within 24 hours of the signing of this contract, or something to that effect. Okay, and then it'll usually say at such and such a title company, and then the address or contact information. Okay, so usually earnest money is due within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, now what I usually do, because I'm a wholesaler, is I will actually ask the homeowner, hey, will you give me, if you want $500 earnest money, I'll totally do $500 if I can put $500 down here earnest money on the agreement due the day my inspection period ends. Is that something you're comfortable with, Mr. Homeowner? Can we move forward with that? Okay, so you can see I try to put it at the end of an inspection period as a wholesaler. Okay, that way I don't get out of pocket here before, before I got a buyer lined up. So yeah, it sounds to me like this question, like this gentleman here has a contract signed with, it sounds like either a not very serious buyer, or number two, it sounds like he has a buyer that is a wholesaler, and that wholesaler is looking for a buyer. It sounds like one of those two things is happening here. That's my opinion on that. I hope that answers that question. Do you feel like that was an okay answer for that one, Karen?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
That's a good
The
question.
so typically you it's already in the contract, right?
Yeah, typically it's in the contract, but evidently this gentleman did not have it in his contract with the buyer, his buyer. It sounds like he's a wholesaler of some kind here.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's the seller. I don't know. Not sure. But at any rate, it sounds like he did not have it in the contract where it read EMD dollar amount. Okay, $500, for example, due within 24 hours of the signing of this agreement at such and such a title company, right? To be put in escrow at such and such a title company at this address. That's usually, it's usually worded in some way like that. And here's the thing, everybody. I want you to feel comfortable about how how it sounds like I just, like, maybe I know how that reads because, like, I've seen a lot of contracts. And okay, well, yeah, I have seen a lot of contracts, and they're all kind of worded similarly, but the way I just said it was probably not how any of those contracts was actually written. Okay, however, if I had a contract sitting right in front of me and I was getting it ready for a buyer and I did not have that in there, I would add that. And I would add it just like this. I would pull it up in my word processor. I'd pull that agreement up and I'd start typing in there, hey, EMD dollar amount $500 due within 24 hours of the signing of this agreement, period. Earnest money to be paid to escrow held at ABC Title Company, 123 Apple Cart Way, Newark, New Jersey, 86517, or whatever it is. Okay, now I just invented that. I just edited that. I just put that in. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a licensed lawyer or law person of any kind. Okay, So did I just break the law or did I violate? No, I did not. In fact, wording it that way would be just fine. It would work in any title company. You would be able to cancel this deal with this buyer at the end of 24 hours if he has not deposited earnest money yet. Then you can cancel this agreement. Okay, so if you don't put that in there, see, and it sounds like this guy does not have that in the agreement. So the buyer is just stringing this out like the earnest money didn't have a due date. So he's just stringing it out, and he's strung it out now for 60 days. This guy's supposed to close in 2 days. He doesn't even know if they're going to close now because he never even got earnest money or anything. Nothing. So there might be a paperwork issue here. He's probably talking to a wholesaler or an unmotivated buyer, one of the two. So, yep. Put it in the agreement, everybody. Don't be afraid to. Okay? Don't be afraid to edit your agreements, okay? You don't have to be... Do you think honestly, just think about this with me. Do you think honestly that lawyers, when they go to school, that all lawyers, when they're in law school, are sat down in some kind of class and that they're all across the board, all across the country in all these various law schools, they're all taught, hey, when you put the earnest money phrase in there, in a contract, when you're drawing up a contract, Mr. Lawyers, when you put that earnest money phrase in there, you must word it just exactly this and such. No, it's not the case. That's why every one of them you read is different, worded different. So don't feel weird about, and you don't have to be a lawyer to edit one of these. So don't feel afraid to go ahead and edit them the way that you feel like they need to be edited. If it says what you mean, and if you're comfortable with it, and if they're comfortable with it, that's the most important thing, generally. Okay. Generally. All right. All right. Cool. Good question. I feel like I might have beat that one to death.
No. That's good. It's good.
Thank you.
Do you want to go to the next question?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do another one. That's cool.
Oh.
All right. Sorry, I stepped away for a second. All right. This is the next question here. What tools? You want to read it? Go ahead, read it. That's great. I like it. Somebody else talking besides me.
What tools do you need to get into houses that have the doors and windows boarded up?
Wow, that's a cool question. You know, nobody ever really gets that question. I don't think, but that's a great question. And what tools do you need to get into houses that have the doors and windows boarded up? Well, I find it's always best to ask the homeowner, you know, hey, what do I need to get in there? Okay. How do you guys have this all locked up? You have it boarded up and like, you know, with like boards, or is it just like wide open? Is there a door on it? Okay. Because, you know, every house might be different. So it's always best to ask. But typically I find that when a house is boarded up, you're going to have a screw gun. Okay. Do not take a screwdriver. All right. You might take a screwdriver like orange juice and vodka. But don't take a screwdriver like a Phillips head or a flathead screwdriver, because you will wear yourself out. Okay? You're going to need an electric screw gun and a cordless one, right? So with the battery, everybody knows what I'm talking about. One of those drill, you know, cordless drill thingies. And you're going to need usually either a Phillips head or a flathead bit on the end, or nowadays it's not uncommon at all to need a star bit. All right, so you can get star bits at the hardware store, order them on Amazon, have them shipped right to your house, but usually it's either a Phillips head, a flathead, or it's a star bit. All right, and that's why it's also important to ask the homeowner, because, you know, unless you got all that ready to go, you might not have a star bit. You might have a Phillips head and a flathead, but you might not have a star bit. And so when, you know, you ask the homeowner, he might say, oh yeah, you're going to need a star key. Okay, when they say star key, star bit, okay, that's all the same thing. All right, I hope that makes sense. And they call it that because, well, Google it, but it looks just like a star. Okay,
I
like
thought this question was going to be a ha type question, but no, you really do have to open them like that sometimes.
yeah. You really do have to take tools to get into houses that have the doors and windows boarded up. Yeah,
Oh
and if you
Lord.
don't have the
Okay.
tools, it's a real nightmare. It really is. It can be a nightmare even with the right tools. I mean, they sometimes the people that put these boards up and stuff, they aren't necessarily like, you know, tradesmen. They're just, yeah. So, you know, also a word of caution: be careful. Okay, just be careful screwing around with all that stuff because you could, you know, it's easy to hurt yourself if you're not careful, especially if you're not a handy kind of person. You know, you get over there, you think, ah, well, it ain't no big deal to take a screw gun and just take this board off of a window or a door. Not a big deal. Well, yeah, but sometimes that stuff's heavy, you know, and you got to hold it and unscrew it or screw it and hold it and all at the same time and all that. Man, it can be kind of challenging. So, yeah, I mean, that's. It sounds like a real simple question and like almost like a no doy kind of answer, you know. But really, that's a great question. There's a lot to that maybe that people don't realize on the surface. That's a good one. Thank you for that one. Let's hit this next one. Does anybody out there watching have any questions or anything? Anybody got we got some chat too here. Let me hit this chat real quick too before we jump into this third question. Yeah, somebody was saying no EMD for 60 days. Yeah, that's a long time to go without earnest money, for sure. Somebody says, dang it, I'm here to watch Justin be a baller at his game and people are wanting to work. All right. All right. Yeah, well, it's kind of cool, though, to get some of these questions, man. This is a fun question time, man. I mean, these are not some ordinary questions. And but I do appreciate the feedback, Mr. Thinker. Thank you for that. Let me get back here. Put your comments and stuff in the chat, everybody. Put them in the chat. Really, I'd also like to hear if anybody got a deal this week they want to celebrate. I'll ring the golden bell for you. You know how that is. I love to ring the golden bell, the gilded cowbell. All right, number 3 here. I have someone who says her siblings' names were added to a deed right before the owner passed, but it was manipulated. Oh, I've heard the story a lot too, everybody. Okay. The seller says that only her and one other sibling was given the house in the will. Do I go by the will or the deed as far as signatures to be able to sell? Okay. That's a great question. That's a great question. Okay, so in other words, somebody passed away. The brothers and sisters, the mama and daddy passed away, for example. The brothers and the sisters now are all squabbling in between themselves about who should get mama's house. Let's just say let's just simplify it to that. Okay. One brother says I should be on the house, and it says me in the will, and not the other so and so, not the other sister or brother. Okay, so there's all this bickering going on. Do I go by the will or the deed as far as signatures? Because the ones that I've talked to, okay, in other words, the person that wrote this is saying the persons that I've talked to, they want to sell the house. Okay, so the brothers and sisters that I've talked to, they want to sell the house. But the other ones, they probably don't, and they don't even need to be on the will or on the deed in the first place because of the will and all this and questions. So how does this really play out in the real world? Well, it's actually quite simple in the real world because the people that are on the deed, all right, they control the house. All right, the people that are on the deed. And you might say, well, but the will says that this person died and now the house is being bequeathed to so and so, and these other people don't have any rights to it, according to the will. All right, let's talk about wills for a second. Wills are instruments that people employ. They're legal instruments that people use to pass, right, what assets they have when they die to their beneficiaries, to their children, for example. So let's say, you pass away, you want to leave your wedding ring to your daughter. Okay, wonderful. Then you put that in the will. Okay, now, when it comes to real estate, there is a deed. That deed is filed at the courthouse. That courthouse deed shows who owns the property. That also shows who's responsible for paying the property taxes and all that. All right, so how do we go from will to deed? Well, a will goes through probate court. Okay, every will goes through probate court, which is a court that they have in your local jurisdiction that manages the dead people's estates. Their job is to do a few things. One of them is to verify the will. The other one is to make sure that the bills are paid. Okay. The other thing is to make sure that names on deeds are changed. Okay. So mama's name comes off the house and the rightful beneficiaries' names go on the deed. Okay. All of that happens at probate court. Okay. If you don't go through probate court, then that doesn't happen. So if the will says something, okay, then it needs to go through probate court so that the deed can then be changed to reflect the will. I hope that makes sense, everybody. Okay, so if you've got this situation going on and there's a deed, but then there's also a will, well, then the will needs to go through probate court so that the deed can be changed to reflect the will. Okay, and until it does, you're kind of tied up. That will and those assets are tied up in probate. Okay, so this is a mess. Okay, and I've run into this several times, and it's always one brother hating another brother and one sister hating another sister, and it's like they're a liar, and let me tell you, they're on drugs, and they did this, and you won't believe she slept with my ex-boyfriend when I was 17, and I've hated her ever since, and all this shit. I mean, you know, like here, I'm just trying to buy a house, right? I get it, okay? I prefer to work with homeowners that have free and clear houses to work with, okay? This here is a mess that they need to go through the court system to get it straightened out. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do here that's not going to be problematic, in my opinion. Maybe there's somebody else out there that knows, and if you have a better strategy for this, you let me know. Put it in the chat. I'm not an expert at all things, so I would not personally pursue this lead if it were me. It's just not worth my time. Not worth my time. All right, so they can't even, and I'll wrap up by saying this, because they can't even decide among themselves who owns the house. Okay. All right, so it's tough. Hey, what's up, Vic? It's good to see you, dude. Yeah, it's a big red X. Yeah, I would not pursue this one. It's good question.
So not a question mark, just a big red X.
Yeah, yeah. If you've been following me lately, you've probably heard me talk about the big red X in your mind, or the green question mark. You know, this one here is a big red X, and I do run into this pretty frequently, everybody, where they've got probate issues. You know, and it's kind of like not really a probate issue so much as, see, if it was a probate issue, it was like, well, it's in probate right now. Okay, cool, no problem. We'll all wait. We will all wait. Not an issue. But usually it's like, well, mom died like 5 years ago, and the will that I have is not the same will as what my sister has, and we don't know which one. Like I have the right one, but she doesn't, and she says she has the right one, and it's just like, golly, man, this is not even a deal. Okay, but I've seen some real screwy Jerry Springer type stuff out there. All right, man. Let's see here. Do we have any comments? we've got some laughter there in the comments. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for watching. Do we have we got another question there, Vic?
Yeah, I think we have one or two more depending
I'm
on.
enjoying this. Yeah, let's go for.
Okay,
we
cool.
got 20 minutes left if you want, man.
Sure. Let's see what the next question is. So Israel asks, I have a homeowner. He's under foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and the auction begins somewhere around July, but does not want to sell. So she owes about $40,000 to be current, and don't know if there's a way to help her out. But the mortgage balance is about 180K, and the house value is 260K. So at least there's some equity in here. So what do you think, Justin?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I run into this pretty frequently too. This homeowner is delusional. Okay, this is what I refer to as the delusional homeowner, because this homeowner has a home that's in foreclosure. Okay, so she's gonna, like, it says under pre-foreclosure, which would mean like you would think that means like before it's real heavily involved in foreclosure. But if you go on to read, like, it says the auction itself is at beginning of July. So right now is June 26th. July is just right around the corner, like less than a week away. So in a week and a half, this deal is going to be sold. And this homeowner is still refusing to sell. I'm not going to do it. I won't sell. Even though, get this, the house is worth 260. The loan balance is 180. She could probably sell it to someone really quickly for more than what she owes. She could make money in the transaction, which is she could capture some of her equity by selling the property. She could then call that a profit. Maybe she could take that, put it in another home. Okay, I don't know, but she's going to make money. But instead of doing that, this homeowner is refusing to sell, is going to go into foreclosure and lose all of her equity. All of it. And that's now, she has waited now, and she's known this. In America, she's known this for months. Okay? But now we're down to the last week and a half. And she wants still someone to come in and save her, with the caveat of, I still want to own the house and I still want to live here. Okay, well, delusional. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're gonna live in the house, you're gonna have to pay for it. Okay, that's the facts of life. However, she doesn't want to sell the house. She doesn't want to capture her equity, so she is going to lose it. Now, flip the coin over. If she were willing to sell the house, what could you do? Let's think about it. What do you think, Vic? Give me a good idea. If this lady were willing to sell this house, even at this late stage of the game, what could she do? What could we do with her?
We could offer to do a sub 2, maybe take over the loan balance, find someone to put $40,000 down on the property.
We could totally do that. That's a perfectly acceptable strategy. Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like you could bring in a private lender that has 40 grand. You could catch up her mortgage. You could take it over subject to, and then maybe you could even split some kind of equity with her up the road or something if you felt bad for her. You know, like, I mean, but yeah, totally. You know, totally. Okay, great. You're thinking now, man. That's good. What else might we do? Something that's even more simple than that. What might we do? Any other thing you might think of?
Maybe something that you teach. We can even lease option it out.
Well, it'd be tough to lease option this one because of the 40K that she's in
Right.
arrears, right? So it'd be hard to find a tenant buyer that has that much.
Hmm.
Might not be hard to do that on a subject to deal where you bring in a private lender, maybe. Not that hard to do, but
Right.
on a lease option, that would be hard to do. But what about just a straight option?
Yeah.
And then you go sell the option to somebody that's got cash or can buy quickly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe make money just to sign it. After all, there is $80,000 worth of equity here.
Yeah.
So get it-
Somebody would buy it for 250, and then you could buy it from her for 240. You can make
Yeah.
10K that way. She'll be happy with 20K spread, I'm pretty sure.
there you go. There you go. So that's another alternative. So very very good. So this deal here, although this deal is kind of a dead deal because the seller's delusional. And why do I say she's delusional? Because she wants to still not sell. Okay. If you're going to live in the house, you got to pay the payment. At this point, too late, probably, right? So, but if she sold, she'd make money. But if she doesn't sell, she's going to lose it all, and that's going to be really sad. And she's probably going to get bitter about it and angry because they stole everything from her. Well, but you knew it was coming, and you had a long time to sell. I don't know why you chose not to. I don't know why people do what they do, but to me, the writing's on the wall for this person. And I run into these people pretty often, man. And what can you do for someone who just will not help themselves? I don't know. I don't know. It's a toughie. That's a tough one. But yeah, if she were willing, even at this stage of the game, you could probably do. Now, if you were looking at different numbers, let's say this house had $260,000 value, and she was in arrears, and she now owed $270,000. What would we do then?
The only way when they're super underwater is to do a sub 2, right?
Well, the only way to do it, really, in my opinion, would be a short sale at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, a short sale. So I would call my buddy Bob and have him do one. So that's what I'd do. Cool. Yeah. Is there any other thing that we might want to do with this deal? Let's assume the homeowner was saying yes, I want to sell. The homeowner is in fact saying no, I do not want to sell, which kills this deal.
Right.
But if the homeowner was in agreement, we've talked about sub 2 with a private lender. We've talked about straight option. Is there anything else I'm not thinking of? Put it in the comments if you're thinking of something. Okay, lease option would be tough. We decided. Anything else? Anything else you can think of, Vic? I'm kind of running out of ideas here.
And you said 270. They owe 270 on a 260 house.
Well, yeah, that was just for the short sale example, but
Okay.
But
yeah.
If anybody has an idea at this 180K loan balance and then the house is worth 260, we talked about subject to, we talked about lease options, which not subject to, yes, lease options, no, straight option, yes. Anything else we might do? Anybody else got a thought?
Well, something maybe because we're not sure if this is a fixer, right? Or it doesn't say here if it's a fixer. So
that's true.
if it
I'm
was
kind of assuming it's a pretty house, yeah.
Right, because if it was a fixer, then we could say maybe we could bring in somebody. We could figure out how to increase the value. We can find a lender for that, right? Because maybe the house is worth 500K after you fix it up. Could be a beater. This homeowner seems like they don't want to sell. Maybe they've been in the house for 15 years and they've made it like they have it boarded up. They're a hoarder or something like that. We don't know.
That's true. All of those are valid points. Another thing that could be done, and this is pretty wild if you ask me. Kind of popular nowadays though. Well, you could contract to rent this property with the ability to sublease, and you could then hire a foreclosure deterring attorney.
Mm-hmm.
You could defer or put off or fight the foreclosure for a long while, perhaps. Meanwhile, renting out the property for, oh, let's assume a $260,000 house is going to rent for somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,600 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you give the homeowner $800 a month or $500 or something like that, and you keep the difference. Of course, you got to pay your attorney too, and that'll be a few $100s a month every month. So, you could monetize this in that respect too, possibly. I don't see this homeowner being flexible enough to do that though. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important to recognize the opportunities of what you could do if the stars were aligning in that respect, but I think really it's important also to just kind of get a good sense of where that homeowner is and what they would say yes to. That's the biggest part for me. So, a lot of these things, a lot of these ideas we're talking about are things you could do, but are they things that you really could do, with that homeowner? I don't know.
Right.
Just depends. But obviously, with this one, we can't do any of these because this homeowner doesn't even want to sell. So, delusional. Yeah, that's what I think.
But you mentioned that, a lot of these are, a lot of more people are opening up to this, right? A lot of people are
Yeah. So
going
true.
under more of foreclosures. This is popping up more and more, especially with how things are turning out lately.
Yeah. Foreclosures are picking up. Also, I was gonna show this at some point. I put it in the chat room for the coaching club here, but what's happening is people are like these retail sellers, at least for sell by owners, and people with their houses listed on the MLS have buyers lined up. The buyers were approved. Let's say they were pre-approved at 4% interest for a 30-year mortgage. The payment was going to be $1,600 a month. Well, when the Fed raises interest rates, that changes the deal, and so now they can't get the 4% loan anymore. They have to get one at 7 or 8%. Okay, and that hurts. Okay, because now the payment isn't $1,600 a month anymore. Now it's $1,850. Ouch! We don't qualify anymore. So see, the homeowners, as this happens more and more, as they keep raising rates and money becomes more expensive, homeowners are going to become more motivated to do something creative. The ones that have to move, they need to move. We need to cover the payment. Okay, so you guys have always heard me say, really the big thing we're looking for is homeowners that need payment relief. When this market starts really going this direction, it's already begun, you're going to start finding homeowners that need payment relief. That is when you start to hear that over the phone, either subtly or just directly, and they will directly just come right out and say, yeah, this payment, I got 2 payments now, and it's killing me. Okay, Mr. Homeowner, if I were able to take that payment and take that responsibility for that payment and make that payment for you every single month where you don't have to worry about that no more. That's not what you're trying to do, is it? Boom! Yeah, baby! You know what I'm saying? So we're going to start hearing that more and more and more and more and more and more. Okay? And if you watch the TV at all, you know what I'm saying is true. Okay? And it's already happening. In fact, the people that I called, I don't remember whose lead it was, but I called a lead or two on Thursday on the I Call Your Sellers live episode, and there were people telling me, at least one of those leads on that session said, hey, I had a buyer, it fell out, now I'm just like, maybe this lease option thing could work, but I really still just want cash. Okay, see, he's softening. He's not all the way there, but he's softening. Yeah, give that dude another 30 days in the cooker. He'll be ready to eat. That sounds bad, doesn't it? But that's really the truth. So I'll put that guy. We need to put him in the 30-day follow-up category. But this particular homeowner that we're looking at right now on the screen does not want to sell. This is delusional. Yeah, delusional. But we're gonna have.
Yeah,
I'm excited right now, man, because we're gonna be having so many yeses coming up, and we're gonna have more yeses that are like payment relief oriented. That's big time for us. Right? I'm looking forward to this. Guys, I am in the best position right now. I'm 45 years old. I've been working at this since I was in my early 20s. I missed the boat the first time. I was all jacked up with fix and flips and all kinds of. I was just way non-focused back in the early, 2008, 2009, 2010. I missed the boat, to be honest with you. I ain't missing this one. I'm ready. I am ready. I'm about to kill it. Okay? Yeah, I'm just so excited, man. I'm just like, thank you, God, for this opportunity, and that I see it with my eyes, and that I'm ready. I have the tools, I have the skills, I have the network, I have the people around me. Come on with me, everybody. If you want to come on with me, let's do this together. For real. I ain't just shitting you. Okay? Now, I know some people out there are like, hey, that sounds like everybody else and all this. Hey, but listen, I know you're tired of, well, I'm gonna say it like one of my close friends said, you're tired of bullshitting to get the cake. Okay? Just stop bullshitting to get the cake. Let's do it together. Okay? All right? I like it when my friends make money. Okay, come be my friend. All right? We got one more out there, man. We got one more question.
yeah, but just to follow up on that,
Yeah.
the day after you sent the group chat message where like it was like them responding, the realtor responding to it falling out because of the interest rate. They were pre-approved for this percent, but then as soon as it spiked, they were no longer approved for that percent. And then the day after, we got a call back from one of the leads that we texted like way like in April, and that was way before. And when we called this person, he's like, okay, so what happened? You had a buyer, right? And so why would you call us back? And she said, we were under contract. I got the house. The buyer got the house. They got approved. The agent didn't lock up the rate. So it wasn't the homeowner's fault. It was the agent who didn't lock up the rate. They got it all ready. They got the inspection done. The homeowner had to spend like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to get all this paperwork done. Paperwork isn't cheap. It's for the closing documents and putting the money into escrow and stuff like that. But the agent didn't lock up the percentage rate. So when they had to close, the lender changed their mind. And then they had to fall out of escrow, and that's what the seller told us. And we were like, wow,
Yeah.
that's happening.
Yeah. Yep, that's happening. That's happening. I've seen it several times online myself now, this just last week or so. Several different realtors, several different places. And the realtors in some cases are absolutely freaking out. Okay. Freaking out. They're like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And I'm kind of like, well, you should have shit when you were sitting on the pot, because, now I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, for real, market's changing, so they're going to have to change with it, or they're going to go hungry. And that's just the facts. You know what? We've been pushing through as investors in a really, really crazy realtor-friendly market. And right now, I'm really excited that it's softening up a bit. I'm really stoked. Yeah. It sounds maybe heartless a little bit, but it's not heartless. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Part of winning is somebody else losing. No, that's horrible. I don't really feel that way. I don't really live my life that way, but I did hear somebody say that one time, and I was like, damn, it's pretty cold, but it's kind of true in a sense if you think about it. So you know, hey, I'm going to get a lot of money. And it's going to come from other people. That's just the way it works, okay? Sorry, everybody, if that disappoints you. Come along with me. Let's get something together, okay? Or are you going to bullshit to get the cake, okay? All right. Question, if a house does not appraise, I'll read this one if that's okay. Now, you go ahead and read it, man. Read it. I like that.
So if the house doesn't appraise, what are your options to get the full price offered?
I assume this means if you're selling a house, right? Is that
Which is
what
kind
you
of,
take it to mean? If you're selling a house and the house doesn't appraise, what are your options to get the full price offered?
yeah, I mean, that could be it. It's so vague, right?
Yeah, it's kind of vague. I'm going to assume it means if the house doesn't appraise, you're selling a house, someone's interested in it. Let's assume, for example, you're selling a house for $200,000. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Yep, I'll buy it for $200,000." They go, the lender says, "Yep, that sounds cool, but we're going to send out our appraiser." The appraiser goes out to the house. The appraiser takes a look at it. He says, "Yeah, the house is. I'm going to appraise this house value at $189,000."
Hmm.
And you're like, "Well, dang, I just had an agreement with this guy to sell it for $199, but
Right.
y'all are saying that you won't get the money more than $189." Okay, so how do you get? What are your options to get the full price that was offered, the $199? That's what the scenario I take it to mean. Okay, so I really, honestly, there's quite a few options. I think, really, one is to not get the money at all. Sell it for the 189 and make a happy buyer, because that's what the house is worth, and go on about your life. It is worth what it's worth. Okay. Number two is to maybe you could dispute the appraisal. Okay, maybe you could fight the appraisal, dispute it. Maybe you could hire a third party appraiser to contradict the veracity of that appraiser. Okay, I don't know. That's a possibility. People have done things like this. Maybe, excuse me. Maybe you make a deal with the buyer and you say, "Hey, the house is still $199,000. You get the loan for $189, and I'll have a deal with you, a promissory note, and you can pay me the 10 over the next 3 years."
Yeah.
Or whatever. Okay, maybe that is something that could work. Let me see if there's any other ideas I could think about. How could you get that extra 10? I don't know. Probably other creative ways to do it besides ones I just mentioned there. But for real, in my opinion, you're being greedy. That's my opinion. Okay, if the house is really truly worth $189,000, and even if you had a deal with the guy for $199, and he was okay with it and you were okay with it, well, the lender's not okay with it because it ain't worth that much. Okay,
Yeah.
so in my opinion, to insist that you get that extra 10, everybody knowing that it ain't worth that, is just you being a greedy kind of person. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it. It's easier to say than do. However, when you're looking at 10 grand that you're not going to get that you thought you were. Okay, I get that too. So, yeah, I don't know. I run into this with homeowners on this lease option stuff. Okay, because the house doesn't always appraise what it should appraise for, and people sometimes call me back and they'll say, "Hey, what do we do? The lease option deal that you put us in, it didn't appraise for the amount that we agreed to." Okay, great. Well, we need to call the homeowner. Okay, and we need to let him know what it appraised for, and we need to ask him how he would like to handle this, because the lender only wants to lend us this much money. Okay. And if I get an opportunity, I'm going to advise the I'm going to advise the homeowner, "Hey, you should do the right thing here, and you should sell them the house for what it's worth, every penny of it, but not $10,000 more." Okay, that's my opinion. All right, and in a lease option, the homeowner is not obligated to reduce the price like that. Okay, he's not obligated to reduce the price. So in some cases, they want to have a second mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for the 10K, or some type of other promissory note or payment arrangement, okay? And that can be done a lot too, okay? So that's typically how I handle those scenarios. I hope that's helpful for everybody. Yeah. Man, isn't it crazy? Real estate's a lot of crazy stuff, man. A lot of crazy stuff can happen in real estate. Like, it really can. Like, it's so fluid, it's ridiculous. And you know what's even wilder is we could bring on another real estate investor person and they could answer questions, and you could ask them all of the same questions and they would have some of the same answers, but then they would have other answers that would also blow your mind. You'd be like, well, damn, he didn't even say anything about that. You're right. It's so fluid. It's like, really, you could do a lot of different things in a lot of different scenarios. So, you know, nobody's an expert. I'm certainly not. So don't feel like, you know, you can never be an expert. You know, you can in your own way, you know, and that's kind of all I've done. So I've just kind of become an expert in my own way, you know, and I am what I am, you know, and I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, and you know, I think everybody starts somewhere, and you fall in love with something along the way, and while you're falling in love with it, you really you invest yourself into it, you focus in it, and I've just been able to do that. I've been able to do that with lease options. I also realize that people listening to me tonight, you know, you need to embrace the love, okay? And the love may not be for lease options. It may be for co-wholesaling, or it may be for ugly house straight wholesaling, or it may be for, you know, subject to investing, or maybe for foreclosed properties, maybe dealing with those, or maybe you're a short sale kind of guy. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can fall in love with, but you and I both know, everybody out there listening, you and I both know what you kind of have a hankering for. You know, hankering, you ever hear that word, hankering? When I was coming up, they'd say, you know, I've got a hankering for a hunk of cheese. Yeah. Yeah, well, what you like, you kind of know what you like, you know. It's great to taste a lot of different strategies and techniques in real estate, and it's great to kind of make your way through the buffet. But we all know we fall in love with something about real estate. There's a particular path in it that we like. Whether maybe that's just acquisitions, or maybe it's something, you know, like we were mentioning before, maybe it's a certain strategy or technique. Hey, embrace the love, okay? Embrace the love, fall in love with it, focus in on it, learn the details, become an expert in it, become a master of it, and what you'll find is you'll find that you'll make your own path, and your business and your path and your education and your knowledge will be completely, while expertise level, will be completely different than anyone else's. That's the beauty of real estate, to me. I mean, look at me. I'm just a hillbilly from Kentucky. I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up a relatively sheltered life. Went buck wild at about 30 years old for about 10 years. You know, I did some entrepreneurial things before then, you know, basically just screwed away everything and then started from scratch and built it all back, except better. And, you know, a lot of people have that same story, but nobody did it quite like I did, okay? I've got my own angle on it. And you guys have heard bits and pieces of that angle. Well, here's the thing. You can do the same thing no matter what your story is. Good, bad, boring, indifferent, smart, dumb, intelligent, good looking, ugly. It doesn't matter what you think about yourself. Very, very unique path you're taking. Embrace the love. Fall in love with real estate. Fall in love with a certain thing about it. Become an expert at it. One of these days you'll raise your head, you'll look around, and you'll say, damn, I know a bunch of stuff nobody knows. That won't really be true, but it'll be mostly true. Okay? So, yeah, that's my encouragement for everybody before we sign off here is just invest yourself into something. Okay, now we all like to go around the buffet, but it's important that you kind of deal with that shiny object syndrome stuff and you kind of focus in on a strategy, a technique, a skill, develop something and become an expert at something. Okay, and when you do that, it changes everything. It really does. So now I do lease options. You might say I'm an expert at lease options, but I also do ugly house, and I do subject to, and I do co-wholesaling, and I might do some other things even. I do bank-owned properties, and I've done some fixing and flipping, and I've borrowed private money before, and I've got my fingers in a lot of different things. But I love lease options. I love it, and you can tell I love it. Okay, and that is what makes the difference. I think that's what makes the difference. So don't try to be like anybody else. Just be like yourself. Just be you. Fall in love with what we're doing here, or what you like to do, and let's just do it really, really well. And let's just be experts at it. And then you'll notice that the money and the momentum and the success and all of the things that you've been seeking become a side effect. They become a side effect of that passion. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't know. Maybe it is crazy. And maybe I should just say goodnight. I don't know. Love you guys. Vic, I appreciate you being here. Karen, thanks for being here. I really enjoyed these questions tonight. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Is there anything you wanted to add? Anything you wanted to talk about or anything, man? You or Karen, either one?
Nope.
Hey, man. All right, well, I appreciate you, dude. I'll see you guys later. These guys are a part of the apprentice program, everybody. Yeah, check us out at shutupmoney.com. Vic and Karen are going to go live on Tuesday at noon, I think, Central Time, and with some live calls. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great, man. Thank you for doing that, dude. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you then, man. Everybody have a good weekend, okay? See y'all later.
See y'all later.
All right.